So let's talk about the 4 rules of sales. And these are 4 things that I created, and they're not rocket science, over the last 35 years of doing this. I really prescribe to this 1,000%. We teach this as the core values of the David Lewis and Associates training of inspirational selling. And, I talk about this a lot, excuse me. And I want to start out and ask, let's talk about our customers before we talk about the sales. Are our customers defensive and fearful? And the answer is yes. We know that. We talk about that every single week and how important it is. Why are they like that? Because of past experiences, because of their perceptions, because of what people tell them, what they see on TV and they see in movies. And I always ask you this: should they be fearful of us? And the answer is yes. They should be petrified of us. Why? Because we are professionals. We're good at what we do. We're good at extracting money out of them, selling them a product. Now, are we doing anything wrong, immoral, or unethical? Absolutely not. We're giving them value for their money. We're not stealing it. We're giving them something in return. But for the average person, going against a seasoned professional salesperson is a very scary thing. And, we have to be able to put ourselves in their shoes. Remember, we're the pros. They're not. And the problem is we have different objectives. You see, the customer comes in and they don't want to buy the car right now, and we want to sell them a car right now. So different objectives. They want to pay as little for the car, and we want to charge them as much for the car. Different objections. So should they be fearful of us? Yes. The next problem that comes in is the lying. We talk about this all the time. Do customers lie to us? And the answer is yes. They lie about a lot of things. Why do they lie? They lie to avoid conflict. They lie to get a better deal. They lie because they don't feel safe. They lie because they don't want to lose control. Their anxiety makes them lie. They're defensive. And they want to even the score because they think that we lie to them. So the most important thing that we have to do as salespeople and managers is we have to understand this. And understand that what they're doing, what the customer's doing, there's nothing wrong with that. You would do the same thing if you were in their situations. I guarantee you that, in order to get a better deal, because you're fearful of the situations. So I want to ask you all, and we've done this in the past. I'm going to pop up a poll here real quick. And my poll is a question. And what I'd like you all to do is answer this question. And the question is do you think that I could work in your dealership for the next 90 days, sell a ton of cars, and never have a customer lie to me? I mean, never. No one's going to lie to me. Do you think this is possible? So please click in. Okay. I'll give you another few seconds here. Okay. So it's exactly what I've said. We are 92, 93, 89. Okay, 89% of you have said you do not believe I could do that. Okay, 11% of you have said yes, that I can. So that goes right into, our first rule of sale. And our first rule of sale is never ask a question that could result in a lie. If you don't want people to lie to you, don't give them an opportunity to do so. When my kids were little and I knew they did something wrong, I never wanted to ask them because I knew they would lie to me. And I didn't want to have to now deal with the lie. Okay. People lie because we put them in a situation to lie. When you ask a customer for their budget, they are not going to tell you the truth because they're afraid to give you that number. If my real budget's 500, I'm not going to tell you 500 because I think you're going to take advantage of me. So I'm going to tell you 400. If you ask me what I think for my trade is worth, and I know my trade's worth $10,000, I'm going to tell you $12,000. If you ask me where I've been shopping and have I gotten prices elsewhere, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to lowball you on those numbers. Why? I want to get a better deal. I'm scared of you. I'm fearful. But you see, if you don't ask those questions, then the customer cannot lie to you. Then you have a second part of this. And I think I did this 3 or 4 weeks ago, and everybody answer this in your heads or to yourselves. Who of all of you have ever lied to your significant others? And I think most of you can raise your hand and say, yes, I have. Who of you have lied to your significant others and gotten caught? I think a lot of us can say, yes, we can. Who of you have lied to your significant others? You got caught, you knew you got caught, and then you still defended your stupid lie. And I think a lot of us can still say yes to that. Once that customer lies to you, you're done, because now they go into a defense mode. And here's the thing. When I'm trying to sell a car, I don't want the customer to think about their lie. I don't want them to think about defending their lie. All I want them to do in the initial 45 minutes is find a car they love and fall in love with me as someone they enjoy being around. Okay, we've talked about rapport and what the definition of is. And I've told you over and over again, you don't get rapport with people. Rapport is a harmonious relationship between two people. Harmonious is something defined as something that's soothing and comforting. You are a car salesperson. I am a customer. We are not going to have rapport. Now, can I like you? Absolutely. Can I enjoy being with you? Absolutely. Can you make it difficult and make me more scared? Sure, by the questions you ask. Okay, so what do customers lie about? We talked about that. What they will not lie about. See, those are the questions you want to ask. What are they not going to lie about? Let's talk about the meet and greet. If you did your meet and greet, however you do it, and everybody has their own unique way of doing a meet and greet. You know, hi, welcome to the dealership. My name is David, and you are Mr. or Mrs. and blah, blah, blah. Great. Have you been here before? No, it's our first time. Well, we're glad to have you. And now I'm going to ask a question. And I've never had anybody lie about my first question. So are you looking today for a new or used car? Who would lie? Who would come in looking for a new and say used? Customer says new. Great. Second question, are you looking for a coupe, sedan, minivan, utility vehicle, or truck? Well, we're looking for a truck. Fantastic. Let's go look at trucks. No lies. Do I need to know their budget? Nope. They're going to tell me their budget indirectly when they go and look at all those trucks and they go from window sticker to window sticker and start gravitating back to certain vehicles. They're going to tell me what their budget is. Do I need to know if they have a trade? Nope, not important. Has nothing to do with selling them a car or finding a car they love or getting them to like me. Don't need that. Do I need to know if they've shopped elsewhere else? Somewhere else? Nope, not important to me. Do I need to know what price they've gotten somewhere else? Not important to me. Do I need to know if anybody else is involved in the buying decision? Not important to me. The only thing that's important to me at this point in the process is finding a car they love and getting them to like me. So they're not going to lie about all those things. Okay. Hold on, turn page here. Okay. Why won't they lie about these things? Because you know what? They're not trigger defensive mechanisms. It's not going to trigger them. Okay. Those answers don't hurt them. They'd be wasting their own time if they lied, and it makes no sense to lie. You can create that environment. Okay. Rule number 2, important rule. Never ask a question that will result in an answer you do not want to hear. Don't put yourself in a situation. Folks, I don't care how good you are. I think I'm good at what I do. But you know what? There's something called psychological warfare. It works. It's a tremendous power that can take over your whole being. And when you get an answer you don't want to hear, it gets in here. It gets in here. I like to play golf. The worst part of my golf game is right here, when things get psychologically in my mind. When I do my setup, my swing, all of those things, I have things that I think. If I think something negative, like, gee, don't hook it this time into the water, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to hook it into the water, okay? So psychological things are very important. One of the worst things you can do now is prejudge somebody, okay, by the questions you might ask or getting an answer you don't want to hear. Why? Because prejudging is based on false information. I mean, we all know that, okay? You'll almost always be wrong. Always be wrong, okay? And you'll not give it your all. If you prejudge a customer that comes on that lot and you don't think they have the potential to buy, boy, are you going to be wrong, because you don't know. I mean, for those of you that are in the Midwest, you've got the farmer that comes in the overalls and the jeans and the boots, and he smells, and he or she is the one that sit there and they write out a check for the full amount. You just don't know. I mean, I always told you this situation with my son, 16 years old. I told him he could get a car. He went out shopping around. Nobody would give him the time of day. You know why? They didn't think he could buy a car. Well, he couldn't. He was not buying the car. He was picking out the car. Who was buying the car? I was going to buy the car. You know what car I was going to buy him? Whatever he wanted that fell in that price range. Half the salespeople wouldn't give him the time of day. Here's a list of some of the things you don't want to hear. You never want to hear a person's payment range. Psychologically, it's going to get to you. Because here's the thing. Some people come in wanting to spend $300 and leave at $350, $375, $400. Okay? I never want to know their time frame. That is going to get into my head big time. If somebody says to me, we're not buying a car for the next 30 days, I don't care how good you are, that gets into your head. If you don't know it, you're okay. And then you might end up selling them that car. People come in all the time with zero intentions of buying a car and drive away with a car. Okay. I never want to know their trade information. I know this is a big thing of contention, especially with my managers. I never want to know what a customer thinks their trade's worth. It has never, ever helped me. Never. Nobody has ever said, I think my car's worth 8,000, and I go and I appraise the vehicle and it's really worth 9,000. I'm sure it's happened. It's never happened to me, and it's never happened when I'm around. I don't care what the customer thinks their trade's worth. It is a right up here. It's going to get to me. I don't care how much they want to put down. I don't care who's involved in the buying decision. I really don't care. I get to the end of the process, and now Mr. Jones says, well, I really need to share this with my wife. Great. I made a great presentation and demonstration. I'm going to be the one that's going to earn that sale. Somebody's going to sell those people a car. It might as well be me. So even if somebody says right up front to me, I'm just starting my shopping process, I like those comments. Those are comments of fear, and all I have to do is reduce those fears. The worst type of question you can now ask, and we talk about this all the time, are the trial closes, because that's really when you get a lot of the answers you don't want to hear. End of your process. Hey, if we can come together in terms and numbers, are you ready to buy the car today? You know, I should have done a poll, because we're going to do a poll on this one of these days. How many people say yes? Out of 100 people, how many, when you ask if we can come together in terms and numbers, are you ready to buy the car today? How many people say yes? My guess, less than 10%. Why ask the question? You know why? It's going to get in here. Then you get defensive. I would get defensive. If we can come together in terms and numbers, would you ready to buy the car today? And they say, no, not today. Now I get defensive. Well, why not? Did you not like the car? Did you not like me? We don't even know what the prices are yet. And now I get defensive. I start in attack mode. And now I take a customer, I make them even more defensive. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how would you rank this car? I would never tell you a 10. Give you all that ammunition? I don't know, 7? And then you come back with this crazy comment. Well, what would make it a 10? I don't know, put $10,000 worth of cash in the trunk, and I think you got yourself a 10. I don't understand where this is getting you. And here's the worst part of all. If somebody would have said yes, if we can come together in terms and numbers, would you buy the car today? Yeah, probably would. Guess what? You'd sell them that car anyways, had you not asked that question. Now, am I opposed to some sort of trial to make sure we're on the right car? Yeah, I can accept that. Does this car meet all the qualifications and expectations you were looking for in your shopping process? Yes, it was. Okay, great. They said, well, I don't really think, I'm not sure I really want a sunroof. Okay, well, great. Let's go look at one without a sunroof. Those are not closing questions to close the car deal. I'm just trying to make sure we're on the right car. Okay. Are customers defensive and fearful when they come to your dealership? Yes. You've got to remove those defenses, and that comes into rule number 3. Rule number 3 is never ask a question or make a statement that would make the customer more defensive. Your goal is to release defensive postures. We've talked about this numerous times. This is why I like when a customer states to me right off the bat, I'm not buying a car today. Is it okay if I just walk around by myself? See, they're telling me, it's a big sign. I'm scared of you. Now all I have to do is remove that sign. And I can do that very simply. If a customer states, hey, is it okay if we walk around by myself? I'd say, absolutely. I'm sure that means you're just starting your shopping process. And I shut up. And most people say, yes, we are. I say, great. You know what? Actually, that takes all the pressure off me. Tell you what, I'd love to spend a little bit of time with you, show you all the different cars we have. If you see anything you like, we can sit inside of them. We'll use today as just an informational gathering event. Then before you leave, I'll give you all the information you need. You take it home, you think about it, consider it, compare it to the other cars you're looking at in your shopping process. So were you leaning more towards a newer used car? And by doing that, I lower their defenses. I lower them. Am I still going to try to sell them a car today? Of course I am. But I can't get to the end until I go through the means. And the means I got to get these defenses low so I can make a great presentation. This is where I struggle with a lot of us. And I was the same way. Without a great presentation, you have nothing. So again, it goes back to those silly, stupid questions. When we ask questions about price, payment, trade, time frame, credit rating, how much you're putting down, those are questions that are making your customer more defensive. And you do not want them to be more defensive. That does not work in your favor. Okay? Let me put my notes back up here. I'm also, we have things called soft defenses and hard defenses. Something that's soft that I'm not a believer in is when you're on the demo ride. How does it drive? How does it accelerate? How do the seats feel? Where will you be taking your first vacation in your new car? Who's the first person you're going to show your new car to? those to me are soft little trial closes. I think the customer knows what you're doing, and it doesn't fit well into rule number 3, okay, which is never ask a question or make a statement that could raise the customer's defensive posture. Okay, why do trial closes raise people's defenses? Well, number 1, they know why you're asking them. Number 2, they know you're being a salesperson at this point, and that scares them. The reality is the same with all the questions, and they have a fear of losing control of the situation, and that's something you don't want. And finally, we have rule number 4, okay? Rule number 4 has to do more with you as a salesperson. In our industry, we've had a bad rap, okay? And you can't pin this bad rap on one person. It's all of us. It's all of us. Things from years ago, the high pressure, the aggressive trial closes, the beat people up, I mean, it's carried over. We cannot fix it unless we do it one person at a time. Rule number 3 is always try to catch the customer pleasantly off guard. And what I mean by this is don't be like every salesperson. Don't be like what they expected. I always joke about this. I was taught how to sell a car in 1979, and you could have cryogenically frozen me back in 1979, woke me up this morning, and guess what? In most dealerships, I could walk back out on that lot and sell a car today because we haven't changed what we're doing. And if we're not changing what we're doing, we can never complain about the results we are getting. I always laugh when I hear this. A dealer says, we've been stuck at 140 cars, 150 cars for the last 3 years. Well, I can tell you why. You're doing 140, 150 car a month sales process. It's that simple. Your process is that. Most dealerships teach an 8, 10, 12 car per month salesperson process. And that's what they get. Now, some people excel. If you look at the salespeople that sell, 20, 30, 35, 40 cars a month, they don't use that process. They use pieces of it, absolutely. The structure's there, but they intertwine other things in it that make them be unique. You can't do what the customer expects. That's why I go back to when a customer makes a statement. Is it okay if we walk around by myself? I always say, absolutely. I don't want to be negative. Can I assume that means you just begin your shopping process? Most everybody's going to say, oh yeah, great. Takes all the pressure off me as a salesperson. Love to show you some cars, spend a little bit of time. Let's just make today an informational gathering event. We'll look at some cars. If you see anything you like, we can drive a few of them if you want to. Then before you leave, I'll give you all the information you need to take home to think about, consider, and compare with the other cars you're looking at. You see, a customer is not expecting that comment from a salesperson. I've had customers say, so what you're saying is you're not going to try to sell me a car today. I might respond back and say, well, again, you don't have to buy a car today. They'll say, no, absolutely not. Then great. Let's just have some fun and we'll look at cars and I'll give you stuff to go and think about. But again, I got to iterate. Am I really going to try to sell them a car today? Of course I am. But I can't do that until I go through my process. Okay. So why do these catch them pleasantly off guard? Well, first of all, they've never heard a salesperson talk like that before. Okay. It removes any and all risks of going through the sales process. I want to release them. I want to feel comfortable. Removes any bad, stigmas about salespeople. It actually doesn't lower their defenses. It removes them completely, unless throughout the process you start interjecting back in a subtle trial close, a subtle comment, and now all of a sudden those defensive postures go back right up, and now you're just like every other salesperson. And the most important thing is now they can enjoy the sales process. And I think that's really, really important. I have a big problem now with this should be fun. Buying a car should be fun. It's an exciting event. Selling a car should be fun. There's nothing better than selling a car. It gives you a deal. Why do they catch the customer off guard? Because they're expecting an attack. They're expecting pressure, and they're expecting the salesperson to ask desperate. So by being unique and different, we do that. So let me just wrap up with some final thoughts. I've already got your questions popping in. You got 4 rules that govern your sales process. Rule number 1 is never ask a question that can result in a lie. Okay. Number 2, never ask a question or make a statement that can make the customer more defensive. Makes sense. Never ask a question that could get an answer you don't want to hear. Psychological stuff. And number 4, always try to catch your customer off guard. Okay. just some final thoughts. Keep your sales process logical and orderly. Provides for the smoothest experience for your customer. Provide the least amount of obstacles for your customers. Don't build blocks. Tear building blocks down. Tear them down. Don't make this difficult for people. It evens the playing field. Ensure that their sales process is memorable. There's nothing better than someone leaving, whether they buy the car or not, saying, hey, I enjoyed being here. I mean, those people will return to you. They will recommend you to friends and families. And here's the best part of all. It creates higher B-backs. It creates higher closing ratios, higher grosses, higher CSI scores, and it might create a customer for life. Those are very, very, very important things. So with that said, I'm going to start answering some questions. By the way, next week, next Friday, our topic is going to be sold customer follow-up. That's a big issue with me. Over the years, I've purchased a lot of cars, company cars for my kids, family members, and I can't tell you who any of these salespeople were. I mean, one, I will take back. I do have one that has made a memorable impression on me, but most of the times, I don't know half the salespeople are that do that. Okay, so a couple questions here. Mario says, I've always been taught to ask a lot of questions because every customer will tell you how to sell them. If I don't ask questions, will this not prevent the customer from giving me this information? Mario, your end result is good. Your process to get to the end result is not. Okay, you don't have to ask questions. People will tell you by their body language, their facial expressions, how they communicate between each other. They will tell you as they're walking through the lot which cars they look at. Will there be conversation and dialogue between you and the customers? Absolutely. But let the customer control the dialogue. Let them ask the questions, because then they don't break any of those 4 rules. If somebody asks you on a truck, what's the towing capacity? Well, that they're going to tow. And it's okay to say, well, what is it you'll be towing? And then you can get, well, we have a big camper. And oh, great, I love camping. So let the customer think they're in control of the process. Right, Chevy guy wants to know, wouldn't it be easier to ask the customer what payment they're comfortable with and then show them all the vehicles that fit in that payment range? That's a big problem, Chevy guy, because I lied to you. You asked me what payment I'd feel comfortable with. Well, listen, my budget's $500. I'd feel really comfortable with $350. So now what you're going to do is you're going to show me $350 cars. I don't like a $350 car. You never show me the $500 cars. So at the end of the process, I say to you, I want to go home and think about it. Let the customers walk the lot. They will land themselves on a car. That's really important. Adam wants to know, wouldn't we be saving a lot of time to ask customers about their trade during the qualification step? Why? What are you going to do with that information? What does it do? I'll tell you what it will do right up here. So when a customer says, yes, we were going to trade in our car right there. A lot of times we ask them, well, did you have a figure in mind? Do you owe any money on it? How much do you owe? And now you find they're buried in that trade. What value does that bring you? Before you can sell me something, I have to fall in love with 3 things: a car, with you, and your dealership. You throw those obstacles in between and you're not in a good situation. Now, if I fall in love with those 3 things and you don't give me what I think my trade's worth, might I be willing to bend and stretch a little bit? Absolutely. Why? Because I've fallen in love with your car, I've fallen in love with you, and I've fallen in love with your dealership. Yvette, I'll do 2 or 3 more here. Yvette, isn't there a big risk in finding out the customer's too upside down in their trade at the end of the sales process that could have been discerned during the qualification step? Yeah, absolutely. So I throw this back at you, Yvette. How many times have you sold a customer a car that was upside down in their trade? And I guarantee you it is greater than 50%. I guarantee it. It's probably greater than 70%. It happens all the time. People find ways to buy what they want, and we find creative ways to get them the financing they need. I don't want to know that, because here's the thing. Of those 50% that do buy, if you had found out early on what they thought their trade was worth and they were upside down in their trade, you're right back here. And now you're not going to give a great presentation and demonstration. Claude says, what if my customer tells me what payment range they want to be at without me asking them? Won't I still be taking them to the wrong car? That's a great question. Yes, people are going to say to you right off the bat, hey, just so you know, my payment range is this. Fantastic. Here's what I want to do. I want to show you cars in that payment range, and I'm going to show you the cars in the next payment range up as $50 more. I just want you to see the comparison. Everybody will spend more to get what they want, and you want them out there walking around. Tad says, I've been taught that taking the customer's temperature with trial closes is a great way to discern what the customer's thinking if not in a buying mode. If the customer responds positive trial close, isn't that a good thing? Oh, absolutely, Tad. Absolutely, it's a great thing. If the customer responds in a positive way, that's fantastic. How often does that happen? Not much. That's the problem. It doesn't happen much. And then it gets worse because now when you go to your desk, you're going to bring a manager to their knees. Oh my God, they're going to start begging. Is your customer buying a car today? Nope. Why? I don't know. I asked them if we could come together in terms of numbers. They said, no, not today. And now everybody's upset. Everybody's frustrated. Everybody's in an attack and defend mode. I don't see the value in this. But if they do give you a positive answer, absolutely, I think it's great. All right, one more question. David wants to know, do you feel it's okay to ask the customer what they like and dislike about their current vehicle? Yeah, David, that's not a bad question. I mean, it's an old school question. I'm okay with it. Through the process, if you ask them, hey, is there anything on your vehicle that you have now that you absolutely need to have on the next car? Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Is there anything on your car you wish you had? Yeah, that'd be a great. I'm okay with that as long as it's placed in the right position and it's postured in the right way. So there's tons more questions here. As you all know, I email you all back the answers to your questions. So I'll get to everybody's questions. We just don't have time. We're running out of time here. So with that said, I want to thank you all again for joining me. I appreciate it very much, especially all of our customers or all of our viewers from all over the world, especially Australia. They got up at 4 a.m. to watch this. I appreciate it. It's the middle of the month. We got more selling time. Let's close strong. Let's make some money. But the most important thing are two things. Let's have fun, and please, let's be safe. I hope everybody enjoyed today, and I'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope I inspired you. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and click the subscribe button. Once you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell so you can receive more content like this every week. And should you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear them.